What's up, Interisti? It's the international break. So it's time to do a little bit of self-reflection of this Inter team, of this Kivu Inter team, this new Inter team under Kivu. Because we know there's been some bad moments, some good moments, especially recently. But I want to look at the underlying stats of this Kivu Inter. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. First starting point for this video will be just a quick comparison of how we're doing compared to previous season, the usual table from soccerstats.com. We're actually doing better than last season. Of course, you could take that in a positive way or a negative way, because that means that Inter really started badly last season under Inzaghi. And we know we did last season. But if we look at the goals for, so we scored 17. Last season, we only scored 13. So our output has already increased without the Ademola Lookman of the situation. Goals conceded, on the other hand, we've conceded one more, 8, but we know that this has been an issue at the beginning of the season, but so was it last season. But you see, 23-24, our Scudetto Seconda Stella season, look what the solidity is. Only 3 goals conceded from the first 6 games, and we are 3 points behind that season. And we're level on points with the 22-23 season, which again wasn't a very good season. Overall, as we said, bad start, but then recently we've definitely improved. If you look on the right, what was Inter's problem, especially last season? Conceding goals in the key last 15 to 20 minutes. And that issue remains this season. From the 76th to the 90th minute this season, we conceded 4 goals. The most we concede is in that period. So it still remains a problem, even though, as we'll look later on, the way that we are playing and how fit and sharp we're looking, this should be improving, but it shows that maybe there's still some concentration and other underlying issues that continue to persist with Kivu's Inter, as it did with Inzaghi's Inter. And of course, on the left, you also see comparison to the Conte seasons and even the Spalletti seasons. Overall, not too bad of a start from Christian Kivu. Fair play. We know where we're on the table, of course. We are bang on 4th at the moment in the table, joint 4th with Juve and above Atalanta and Bologna. But we know, as we said, the offense, 17 goals. Next best second is Napoli with 12. So we are really the best attacking team in Serie A at the moment. The defensive side, as you can see on the right, though, is the issue. We're conceded the same amount of goals as Sassuolo, struggling Fiorentina, Cremonese. That's not good enough. You see, Roma only 2 goals conceded, Milan only 3. That's where we should be if we want to be competing for the Scudetto, because we know in Serie A that is what wins you the Scudetto, having the best defense. More on the attack, Kivu has given us, we're already the best attacking team in Italy. Has he taken us up a notch even? Because Inter have set a new record, or matched the record, that in the last 60 years, only twice Inter have scored at least 22 goals in the first 8 games of a season. And that is excluding the FIFA Club World Cup. And that was only other season was under Luigi Simoni in 97-98. So, yeah, again, without the Lookman, without the Zalewski, without that dribbler that everyone we know we need, this Inter team still creates tons of chances and scores tons of goals. Now we get to the real meat of the discussion for this video. What did Kivu ask for or said he wanted at the beginning of the season? He said he wanted a more modern, more aggressive, more vertical Inter, which to a lot of us, I was one of them. I was kind of like, yeah, suppose it sounds nice, but does he have the players to do it? Does he have the team to do this kind of work? And we've seen it. We've had some struggles with it, but especially the last few games, I think since the Juve loss, really, Sassuolo, Ajax, Slavia, Cremonese, we've really seen a lot of improvement in seeing specifically what Christian Kivu wants differently to Simone Inzaghi. And here it is wrapped up by Sky Sport Calcio in the stats that they got from Soccerment. So intensità pressione is the top one. PPDA, you guys should know, this is not public displays of affection, which I think has also improved recently with the Inter players. But it is passes per defensive action. So when an opposing team, how many passes do they make before Inter engage in the pressing action? That has improved, or has it decreased, you could say, by 16%, which means Inter are slightly more aggressive to begin these pressing actions compared to last season. Of course, all of these stats right now, the sample size compared to Inzaghi's Inter is very small, well, compared to the full season and comparing to 6 games this year. Efficacia della pressione, the second one, I don't know what BDP means, so how effective is the pressure? Plus 105%. I don't know what that means. As I said, I don't know what the actual definition of that term is, but it means something, right? It means something positive. Intensità reaggressione, so the intensity of the reaggression. Again, I don't know what GPI means, plus 19% there. Number 4, efficacia reaggressione, so the efficacy of that reaggression when Inter lose the ball and press the team. GPE, I have no idea what that means either, plus 26%. Now, the other ones I know, XG da recupero alto, so the XG from the turnover or from that high pressure when you win the ball back, plus 86%. So we're creating more high quality chances from when we win the ball back. And tocchi in area da recupero alto, touches in the area, opposing area, of course, from this pressure, plus 40%. So we're winning more and creating higher quality chances from this pressing that we're doing. So definitely a step in the right direction of what Chivu wants. Più verticali, so more vertical. This one is easy to explain. Percentage of progressive passes. Inter were 16th last season in the league. Now we're 5th. So we're making more forward passes compared to last season. Percentage of passes into the opposing boxes, or Inter was 17th last year. Now we're 4th. So we're vertical, but much more aggressively vertical, directly into the opposition box. And then the other last 3, or the middle 2, passaggio indietro, so that's the backward passes. So from the defensive half, our backward passes, we were first. So our build-up was very intricate, lots of backward passes, trying to play out slowly. And then in the offensive half, we were 5th. And now for both of them, we're now down to 14th and 10th. And then passaggi diagonali, metacampo offensiva, so the diagonal passes when we were in the opposing area or the opposing half of the pitch, we were 19th, and now we're 5th. So even when we are in their side of the pitch, we still are quite, even if it's not directly vertical, diagonals as well, we're much more aggressive with those compared to last season. It would be nice to see, a general comparison against, maybe the Scudetto winning season rather than last season, but this is a good starting point for sure to show you the differences. And now these are the stats that I've gathered from Opta Stats. As you can see, Inter in the PPDA, passes per defensive action, as I explained earlier, we're 3rd. Como and Roma are the 2 most aggressive teams in the league when it comes to that specific stat. But Inter are the most effective with their pressing, because our pressing has led to 13 shot-ending actions from these presses. 3 of these have ended up in goals, and 38% of these, or 38.9% of these, have ended up as shots. So pressing more, but pressing better, and getting something out of it at the end as well. What is the secret to this improved pressing and aggressiveness and verticality? One of them could be Stefano Rapetti, pictured here in my tweet I made the other day. A way too early tweet because we're in October, and this is too early to say. But compared to last season, I think it's clear to see. If you watch Inter game in, game out, like I do, and a lot of you guys do, you can just see on the eye test, team looks fitter, looks sharper. Guys like Di Marco, Hakan look completely different to last season, especially Di Marco. The high intensity, the pressing demanded by Chivu is, harder to do compared to what we were doing before, but they look very comfortable doing it already. But of course, it's early on in the season. We'll have to see how we look in a few months in terms of injuries. But Stefano Rapetti, Jose Mourinho's very trusted man over the years, he could be a big signing for Inter. We'll find out if he is or not. Of course, one of the big differences, this is not to do with Chivu, but at the same time it is, because he's the one that's giving the likes of Esposito and Boni the chances to play. But the backup strikers, we were praying for times like these. We were on our knees for times like these, weren't we, guys? Arnautovic, Taremi, Correa. At this exact point last season, they all had 0 goals. 3 of them, 0 goals. This season, Esposito Boni already have 3 goals. As I said, that is because of, I think, a better strategy when it came to getting some younger, hungrier players to come in, right profiles as well, but also Kivu giving these youngsters a chance, which I don't know if Inzaghi would have done. I pretty confidently can say he probably would have not given as many chances to these two, or agreed to have those two as his backup players. So for this, Kivu deserves credit. Expected points. We are the expected points kings once again. So these two tables you see on the screen are the comparison of this season at the top and last season at the bottom. Last season, we were the expected points king. So expected points is one of those stats that is basically XG versus XGA. So the expected goals you were expected to score and the goals against that you, in theory, should have conceded. So the quality of chances you create versus the quality of chances you concede. Last season, according to this, we should have won the league, even though we overperformed this expected points by almost 6 points. But Napoli, who were third in these expected points, actually overperformed it by 11 points, and they won the league. So at the moment, we're underperforming our expected points by 2.4 points. So it shows that Inter, were a little bit punished in terms of the quality of chances that they conceded until now. Probably the outlier is that Juventus game and Sommer's stinker in that game, but it just shows a little trend to keep an eye on, and it shows you kind of how well Inter are playing in terms of quality of chance creation, and defensively also we've actually have a lot less XG than some XGA than some teams that are above us, like Roma. I think are very, very much overperforming now, -5, so they're overperforming their expected points massively at the moment. More stats that I gathered from Opta Stats. So one of the things I actually expected on the Kivu, I thought with this verticality, aggressiveness, maybe we'll take a step back in average possession. This may level out, and the next few games we'll be facing the likes of Roma, Napoli, Fiorentina. So we might reduce this, but at the moment we're second in the league after Napoli in terms of average possession percentage, total passes as well. What we are first in is final third passes, 1,001, very clear of any other team. And then cross and inshallah, if you see on the right, that remains. We are the cross and inshallah team for many years now, and it remains. But what I like to see is that we've made the most crosses, but we also had the most successful, and in terms of percentage as well, 31.3, which means we're crossing a lot, but we're also crossing quite well, which obviously helps in our chance creation. Big chance creation, of course, we're not scoring so many goals without creating big chances, but we are in a league of our own in this. 33 big chances created. The next best is Napoli and Lazio with 16. And then you see touches in the opposition box on the right, 238. Atalanta, the next best, again, in the league of our own. And we still remain the kings of headers. 26 goals, 26 headers in total, 5 goals. We're the best heading team in the league once again. Of course, set piece FC as we became last season. I think that will continue, and they must, because we have a tall, strong team. So, and of course, great set piece takers. But again, big chances creation shows you whatever Kivu is doing is working very well in terms of creating opportunities. And then going back to the point of, the expected points, the underperformance, or being more punished than we should be, is shown here, because we've conceded 8 goals, but the XG of what we conceded was actually only 4.55. So compared to the other teams who are all under the goals that they should have conceded, we're way above that. We've conceded 3.45 more goals than was expected by the quality of chances we conceded. So, those Adzic stunners and those Yildiz bangers, that is probably that. And of course, when you concede, even the Arthur Atta shot in the Udinese game, if Arthur Atta tries to make that shot 10 times, maybe scores it 3-4 times max. Silly penalty conceded by Dumfries in the Udinese game as well. I'm talking about just open play chances, really. So Inter are not doing too bad, and we're conceded the least amount of shots in the league as well. On shots on target, we have more than the other teams, but that shows you that we're conceding not that many shots, but the ones we are conceding are a little bit more higher quality, or the other teams are converting them better, because we have the highest conversion percentage against us, 15.38%. You can see the other teams, Milan 5, Roma 4. So teams against us somehow turn super clinical at the beginning of the season, even though the XG per shot that we conceded is only 0.09, which is in line with all the other teams. So we have been punished more than we should be. Overall, my reflection of Inter's and Kivu's start is positive at the moment. I have been surprised with how Kivu has been handling things, especially in the media and, in terms of mentality and the philosophy that he's trying to instill in these players. But of course, it's very early days. The beginning was difficult. Now we're seeing positive signs, but we've only really played smaller teams in Serie A and Champions League. The real test starts in the next games. Roma, Fiorentina, Napoli, and then of course we'll have the big Champions League games. This is where we start to see really what Inter are made of. What pasta is this Kivu Inter made of? And that's where we can start judging Kivu and this new Inter properly. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you made of Kivu's start, your reflections, your evaluation up until now, and what you made of the stats that I presented to you. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want something more tactical, try to find the actual tactical differences between Kivu's Inter and Inzaghi's Inter. Let me know in the comments. I'll try to invite someone on that can give us maybe a more visual representation of specific patterns of play or things that Kivu is implementing tactically different to Inzaghi. Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter and Forza Christian Kivu.